Can't you see?
So good
Hi, I'm
evening.
Greg.
Welcome to this evening live event. Welcome to the evening live event at Shenandoah Valley Fiber Festival 2020 virtual event. We have Kim Garver and Greg Garver here to demonstrate and talk about circular sock knitting machines.
Hi,
So what
I'm
machine are you
Kim.
knitting on tonight?
I am knitting on a Laguerre 47. It's from the early 1920s. Honey, will you talk while I fix this?
She's knitting on a vintage Laguerre 47. It was made in about 1920s. There are several new manufacturers out there. I don't know if anybody's interested out there in getting into the circular sock knitting machines, or if you already have. But there's several companies out there to make new manufactured machines. We prefer to stick with the vintage ones. Just that's what got us into it, and that's where we still like to be.
We like it. Okay. So I dropped a couple stitches on my toe, so I was fixing it on the machine. I think 1, 2, 3, 4.
Margaret Briggs says the old machines are nice and broken in. Yes.
Yes, they are. Okay.
They have experience.
Or not.
Might be bad.
A lot of times, Greg and I comment that the vintage knitters had papers and a book, and that's how they knit. And there is a learning curve to these machines. Usually when I'm teaching, I tell somebody you have a good solid 18 hours before you knit nice socks. I am close to 5,000 pair. And my husband knit 1 pair. I can't hear if anybody's talking.
Well, they're probably waiting.
We've all muted ourselves so we can hear you.
Oh,
Especially since I had dogs barking and a doorbell going off. So the yellow yarn is your toe and the red yarn is the foot of the sock, right?
the foot. So this is the sock when it comes off the machine.
Okay, can you hold it to the left because we're actually looking over your shoulder right now.
Here.
Perfect. Thank you. And so the green yarn is the waist yarn. And on the
It's a ribbed cuff, and it's a shorty sock. And then colored heels and toes. And to finish the sock, you Kitchener. The green is my waist yarn. So everything is done on the machine that you see. And I'm finishing the toe on the second sock.
So you did a hung hem on the ribbed top part of the shorty sock.
Yeah, I ribbed like 25 rows and then hung it so that it's double ribbed, double cuffed. Makes it nice for shorty socks or hiking boots.
They stay put.
Yeah, work boots. I think the Fibrous has 2 pair, right?
Yes.
You do. Hey, Reggie, can you hand them to me?
Trying to
Like for the individual.
Let me know when you're ready to show them off. I can always change it.
So I have 2 I can show, but I have to turn off the background. It's going to show a little bit, but.
Okay, I'm going to spotlight the Fibrous for a second. So here's,
Apologize for bad camera quality.
so those 2 socks are ones that Kim knit for you.
Yeah.
With your
So this one was an MCN, Merino Cashmere Nylon, and she did the plain with the cuff. And then this is our hopper, which is a Merino Yak Silk, and she did a rib on the top and the leg and the cuff.
Go back to featuring Kim's video.
Margaret disappeared.
Margaret's there.
Is she?
She
I
is.
can't
She can do video off. She has chatted a little bit. She said that she's a Laguerre 400 and a 1908 Gerhardt. So I have a Laguerre 47 and I have a Gerhardt. I don't know if mine's a 1908. I think it's around that. Yes, and Margaret, I know you from the Crankin as well.
Oh, who is it? Margaret Briggs that's on?
Yes, it's Margaret Briggs who's on. She's
Hi,
laughing.
Margaret.
Hi, Kim.
How are you?
I'm just lurking here.
It's all good. And I have an
You know,
LT150 too. So.
Margaret, I will tell you, I thought about you and did a chuckle whenever I was writing my little blurb about who I was. Because remember what you said to me at the Crankin at Shenandoah when I broke out my new yarn.
Oh, your beautiful new yarns.
Yeah. Yeah, I was an enabler.
Oh, well, aren't we all?
Yes, we are. So how is everybody handling the pandemic? Are we making lots of socks, dyeing lots of yarns?
I've been organizing lots of virtual events.
Have you?
Yeah.
We've been sort of taking a break from everything. We just were focusing on our day jobs and not enough spoons, you know, for the as the phrase goes, to really do everything. So we just sort of we actually spent the last week, we both were off from work and spent it getting a lot of stuff listed on our website that really should have been listed months ago, but or years.
I know that.
Well, I think it was tough over the summer with everything being canceled, and so it's really nice that Shenandoah's decided to go virtual. I'm the chair of a conference that's supposed to happen next summer, and we've decided to go virtual. And a big reason is we want to help keep the teachers teaching and the vendors vending. So
Shut that video for a minute.
That's how we looked at it too for SVFF. I know that this Eventany platform, the Waterford Fair is going to use it. The CSKM screen has gone blank. I don't know if it's like timed out or what the deal was. We'll put it back on your face for now.
Spotlight in
Yeah, the camera over your shoulder has gone off of Zoom. I can see it on the screen.
Hold on. Okay.
But this way everybody can see all the socks behind you and the yarn wanting to be socks behind you. And we have another guest. Jeff Koretsky, the SVFF webmaster, is coming on.
I'm trying to set the machine up.
Okay, so you're gonna get ready to do another sock, right?
I actually am thinking about doing the beginning of a knit and do the gusset. Although it might be safer if I did.
Let's just do a sock.
Yeah, I'll just do a sock.
Can I put it back on the CS cam?
Ooh, what was that?
That was some challenge between the sounds, probably because we just put the machine back on, the machine video back on.
Does it make a lot of noise?
Yeah, it's like a feedback. So did you just take all the needles out or every other needle?
Every other needle. I'm
Okay.
gonna set up to put my ribber on. I'm gonna do a cuff down sock.
Yeah, Bethany, that was me because I joined external. I was connected twice. The video quality is better in the Zoom meeting than it is in the embedded video. So
Yeah. So I will come clean and make a sock knitting machine confession. My setup bonnet that I made, I ended up like I had such a hard time with doing my decreases for my toe, and I had so many holes that I ended up putting it on like size 1 needles and hand knitting a decrease so that it would work.
My confession is I've knit one pair of socks on twos, and I didn't ever want to knit another pair again because Greg wears knee socks.
Yeah. Margaret, do you ever hand knit socks anymore?
I used to hand knit socks, and then I had about a half a dozen hand surgeries, and that's when I got rid of all my sock yarn, and then later found CSMs. But yeah, husband socks, those will put you right off of hand knitting them. I knit a pair for my husband that I think took me about 10 years. No. It just went on forever because he was like, but no, Kathy Rollletter over in Harrisonburg was my enabler. They invited me over. She had come and demoed for me at Montpelier, and then I went over and they let me play with one of the machines. And then somebody had a box of parts that they decided, I'm just going to buy a restored machine. I don't want to fool with it. So they sold me this box of parts for, I don't know, $400 or $500. It turned out to be 2 complete Gearharts. I mean, I had to buy a few little parts, clean them up here and there, but yeah, it was a 1908 and a 1918 with a ribber.
Wow.
So and then yeah, it's don't ask me how many balls of sock yarn I have. So
Oh, I have no idea either.
yeah.
I shouldn't be watching this because I now know I want one.
Oh,
You
well,
now want a sock machine?
I could have told you that Jeff would want a sock machine as soon as he saw it.
yeah, there's definitely a learning curve, but for an unribbed socks, I can make a pair of socks in 45 minutes. You know, plus a little bit of time to stitch up the toes, but just being able to start and finish them is nice.
Yeah, I think the most that I've ever done is like with my Civil War socks that are 135 plus rows. I think I've done 6 pair has been my limit for one day. And that was just trying to get them out for my customer. Wasn't something I want to do every day. 3's enough.
I cranked about 9 pairs of socks in a few days one time because I was going out to visit family and I was bringing everybody socks as gifts. And yeah, there were some tendonitis after that. So,
Margaret, your sock?
Well, part of the reason I'm looking at this and watching this I didn't watch before is it just looks so geeky and technical when, well, I love things like that. The fiddly bits are what interest me. And it looks like a lot of fiddly bits.
Greg, do you want to describe how the machine actually works?
And tell them what I'm doing.
Well, I know a lot of people that do want to get into the knitting machines for the socks is because they do hand knit and realize that sock knitting is such a drab thing. You know, it takes you forever to do them. But what she's doing with the needles right now is basically the hand manipulation of the stitches you would do in
A
hand
knit
knitting.
purl.
So she's setting up for what you
Knit
say,
one, purl
knit
one.
one, purl one. So really anything that you can do hand knitting, you can do on the machine just once you know which needles to manipulate and when. Put them into work and take them out of work. But all the needles are driven off of pretty simple cams. It's all mechanically timed. If you have any experience with machines, it does help to shorten the learning curve a little bit, because it's, of course, the hand knitting, if you know a little bit about that too, it helps. But all the adjustments on the machine, you do have to fine tune them for particular types of yarn.
For your gauges.
What?
For the gauge.
Well, for the gauge of your stitching. And I believe Kim's always said, about 18-hour learning curve to go from setting the machine up into where you're knitting your first pair of socks, really.
And then practice.
And then, practice. That's how you get to Broadway, right?
Kim, are you doing Awana's selvage?
I don't know. I'm just doing
Do a row of every other and then put your river in?
right. Whenever I'm doing the hung cuff, which is the double cuff that I rib and hang, I like using my line. I don't know what it is. I'm drawing a blank.
Oh, the ravel cord?
Yeah, I use the ravel cord so that I can see it better. If I am doing just the top of a sock, I either do, I like the E-wrap the best. I think it gives you the nicest edging. So it really depends on what I'm doing. But I like the ravel cord mainly so that I can split it, see what's going on with my sock. Helps me see it.
Yeah, I was going to talk about the ravel cord. So I know it's really popular with flatbed knitting machines, but the ravel cord that Kim is using is actually fly fishing line that has the center part removed, I think. Or no, actually, does it still have the center part? I think it still has the center part. But as you use it, yeah, it becomes softer.
It makes it nice to separate the socks as you're knitting for finishing.
Yeah, and I found like multicolored line. So it's kind of cool because for every few yards it changes color. So sometimes, you might be using waste yarn like that bright green, or I have orange and pink and white. It's kind of crazy. Yeah. So the cord can be a color that's different than the yarn you're knitting with and different than the waste yarn you're knitting with.
I don't know. I gotta get my hand out of the way. I have a row counter that I usually use so that I know how many rows I've done. I didn't set it and I lost count while I was talking. So I will look once I take the river off. I think I did like 25 rows of 1x1 ribbing. Maybe even 30.
We could always go back in the video and watch. Since
What,
we're
how
recording.
many? Are you recording it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
You haven't said any bad words or anything. It's okay.
Well, if I did, everybody that knows me wouldn't be surprised, right?
Right. So are you in a 72 cylinder?
I actually am using a 64
Okay.
with, it's the equal slot river dial that Dave Lord machined.
Okay.
I love the 64. I had a customer send me some of his yarn from a sheep that he's doing, and it's pretty close to DK weight, and it knit beautifully on the 64. Although it scares some people to go that heavy of a yarn.
So when you've marked your cylinder for your halfway points and then your heel distance too, right?
Yes, the heel
You do
distance is
a
here.
deep heel.
I do a deep cuff, and I do a little bit of a rounded toe. I like the deep cuff for myself. And I also like the wedge cuff, but I don't want to make wedged for anybody else but me or my family members, my good friends. So everybody's just kind of watching me transfer the needles. I'm almost done. If the fiberists get a sock machine, they can always come here for lessons. Maybe it would get Bethany up here again.
We're waiting for Bethany to get tired of one of hers.
And we'll get a second hand.
Yeah, really, everyone should just come to my house, help me clean up my basement, and then we can just have a big Franken in the basement.
There you go.
One of these
But
days
I'm
we'll
not
get-
traveling right now.
Once I get a crane.
I know, but I'm not cleaning my basement right now either.
Okay, so can you see in there? Can you see the ribbing?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I like that yarn, Kim.
Thank you. I haven't named it.
So you're taking requests then?
What?
Suggestions?
Well, that's so
Suggestions
funny.
for naming?
Sure. The one that I dyed for Shannon Doe, I had searching for a name, and then people started ordering it.
Which is why it then became named Searching for a Name.
Yes, so now it's searching for a name because so I can't do that anymore. It backfired on me.
Looks like we have a new person coming on, Myra Ness.
Oh, Myra Kness.
Yeah. Do you know her?
Yeah,
Awesome.
we FaceTime. I think we tried to Zoom once and I was having problems. I had to set up the app and so forth. I can't talk and knit. That's a lie, huh?
I love the stuff that way.
I said I can't talk and knit. And Greg said just pretend that I'm talking to Myra. Because some days while I'm working, her and I are visiting.
I've done that before with you too.
Yes, you have. Um,
A heel?
a heel, and I'm going to color change, and my heel's going to be Bethany. Do you have that
Oh.
colorway? I have that one named.
It looks really dark on the camera.
I know. This one was a little bit darker. I didn't get the highlight that I wanted to, so I kept it. Because with Bethany, it's like a blend, and if you don't catch the turquoise just right, it makes it darker. So I just kept it for me. And that's such a hardship to knit with my sock yarn.
Especially with that colorway.
Oh no, I love this. I'm like,
I
I think I'm gonna make a
I'm-
size 8 sock. It's my booby sock.
So Kim's ensuring that all the stitches stay down and they're not popping up as she runs her hand across the backs of the needles. So I don't know if the screen's frozen for everyone, but Kim doesn't use heel
Am I
forks. She uses
frozen?
her
Oh, yeah.
hand. I'll let you work for a second, for me at least. But Kim doesn't use heel forks. Kim uses her hand to hold the stitches down,
Is
and
it frozen?
she'll eventually.
Frozen.
I can switch it to your face from.
What does that say?
Okay, it looks like things are going back, so I can switch it back.
That's better.
Is it?
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, I see your spots.
So Kim is going back and forth, and so this is essentially doing short rows. So for the hand knitters out there. You're
Yeah.
actually doing a suicide heel, right?
Pardon me?
You're doing a suicide heel?
Sure. I don't like calling it a suicide heel.
I understand. If there was a different name, I would rather use it too. But
So what do you call it?
I don't know.
You
And
can call
one
it
of
a no wrap.
yeah, no wrap heel.
Well,
Okay.
it's the heel that Bethany's talking about. That's in one of the older Gearhart manuals. They didn't call it a suicide heel. It was a heel technique. And yeah, this is a no wrap that I'm going to do. I don't know if I'm going to like doing it with this darker yarn. Oh, that's just wrong. What's so many levels?
You're whispering.
What?
Somebody's whispering.
I was whispering to Greg.
Okay.
But your own video.
Yeah, Sandy wants more socks, so I think she'd forgive me if I got something like this.
Well, and your wife has such small feet. You're lucky, Jeff.
So I would be able to do 20 for her in a day, even with the learning, taking into account the learning curve.
Yeah, I've known some people who don't like to, they haven't been able to master the heels and toes, so they'll do like afterthought heels and toes. but it really is so much faster on the machine.
Oh God, yeah.
So the reason why Kim has to push down on the stitches is because since she's only knitting on a portion of the sock, the weight, she's got a weight on the bottom from her bonnet. And, oh, she's going to show you heel forks, though. She's got this really great antique heel fork that has this pulley, so it hangs so perfectly and evenly.
Right. It's really nice too when you go to take it off. I have my stitches super tight, so I don't know if using that by itself is going to be enough. Go down, Kimberly.
Did you drop something? You're okay.
No, I just can't. I was trying to get my hands out of the way,
It's okay.
but it's too dark.
So Kim also has produced some instructional videos on different techniques and even the basics. I mean, learning from her in person is always the best, of course.
Yeah, because I like make people laugh.
Yes. If you visit Kim at home, you can work in your pajamas in the studio.
It's studio wear.
I didn't have my pajamas on when the customers came.
I'm proud of you.
Aren't you? I started getting dressed to come out. After having been caught a couple of times. And with pictures, they took
They took pictures of your studio?
yeah, they took pictures of me in my pajamas. All right, so that is the heel. Bad choice of color.
Changing to the base collar now, going back to the foot. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Did the leg first.
Yep.
So Kim will lecture you over and over again when teaching you how every time you touch your needles with your fingers, you always check to make sure the latches are open. Because that's how you drop
Yes.
stitch.
Close the latch, drop stitch.
Yep, your stitches are compromised.
So as Kim cranks around, she's actually holding onto the heel and the bottom to add even tension to that so that it has the right amount of tension as she goes around for the foot, the instep. The bottom of the foot.
And I do have my,
Oh, your heel fork in there.
I really like the pulley. You have to keep your eye out for one of those.
Yeah.
Hmm?
Did you reset your counter, Kim?
No,
That's why she's laughing.
that's why I'm laughing. I'm like, I know I didn't do 101 rows. Oh, that's okay. I have a lot of people ask me, how do you get your socks the sizes that you want? And I will tell you, I always measure. I can do a mathematical formula that's in the, some of the older manuals. But I have found that measuring is still a good idea. This is a VCAM that actually determines the number of rows per inch that you're going to get. And for every yarn, moving it a little bit up and down will give you the ideal tension. And I have just found that if I measure my first sock, it usually fits. And it doesn't always match what my calculations are. Because I still do a gauge. It'd be pretty. But I feel lost right now because I don't know how many I got. I will be tearing this sock apart.
So Kim knows the story of my first pair of socks that I knit start to finish. It was just a little bit before my wedding, and I needed to make socks to wear at my wedding. And I had specific yarn I'd purchased, and I bought a lot of it, which is a good thing, because I wore sneakers at my wedding. And it was late at night, and I wrote down notes, and I had Kim's video playing over and over and over again. And at some point, I didn't realize it until I was done with the second sock, I must have knocked that knob. And I had one sock that was much smaller than the other one.
And that's where,
Yeah, Bethany, my old Gearhart used to tighten up when you'd go back and forth on the heels. It was
Yeah.
like it would just the tiniest little bit start turning the tension knob. And I finally figured this out, like, why are my second socks always smaller? And I put a little bit of rug gripper. Well, somebody at the festival doing demos took that little lock washer off without telling me.
Oh my
oh
goodness.
my gosh.
Yeah, it was there for a reason. But yeah, it wouldn't do it if you were just cranking straight. It was only when you were going back and forth on the heels, and it would just tighten, tighten, tighten.
Wow.
Were you, like, when you were doing it, were you hitting your knot, Margaret, or just it?
No, it was the machine. We
wear.
figured this out at some point. Of the only thing that could be happy is something about the motion of the machine was, you know,
Well,
again,
friction has a way of vibrating loose parts.
yeah, antique machines. Go figure. They've got a mind of their own sometimes. So.
But I like them so much more.
Me too. They're quieter. They're smoother. And again, all I did was under the little nut on the tension knob, I just put a tiny little piece of rug gripper, and it totally solved the problem.
So there's.
So you're gonna do toes on your sock, or are you gonna rip it out because you didn't measure?
This one,
Yeah.
I'm gonna rip it out. Not because I didn't measure, but I think I actually got confused on which side I was on, and my heel looks like it has a hole.
Oh. So are you gonna run it off the machine so we can see you run it off the machine?
Sure, I'll run it off the machine.
Just don't have your feet under your weight.
I won't.
Okay.
I'll run it off the machine. I'm not gonna.
So for the people watching this thinking about a sock machine, this is something you will get to do too.
You
Just-
guys are
Frequently.
Do you know, I always tell Greg, whenever I make a mistake, it allows me to put myself in my students' shoes and remember how difficult it can be when you're learning.
So this is the time to show them the slotted yarn carrier because both of my old antique machines didn't have one. And so I have unraveled entire socks, pulling it back through the yarn carrier because I didn't want to cut the yarn.
I've done that. So that side looks really good. See my finger there?
Yeah.
I don't, well, no, I was doing the no wrap where you put the needle down and I think I got off.
And you maybe didn't put a
It's
needle
still-
down when you should have.
What?
And you
I
maybe
mean,
put a needle.
I could have fixed it, but I'm a perfectionist.
This is one way of fixing it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
on
so
sock-
this
sock
is
machine,
one way
really.
to fix it. Keeps me home. Is demoing. I think I dropped stitches at least twice. So, and it was so dark, the yarn's so dark, I can't see. So I am gonna tear it off. The ravel cord. Am I freezing up?
Yeah, for me, you are at least.
Am I? I think I
It's
can't.
freezing up for me as well.
Little bit.
So the ravel card. Did it freeze up?
It's moving but splotchy.
Let me switch it to your face real fast, and you can hold it up. Okay. Yay, we see your face.
Yeah.
So you pulled the ravel cord and it's nice and clean.
I just, right, I was.
I have it on your
Oh,
face. It's
was it?
okay.
So yeah, the ravel cord allows you to separate and get your setup basket. Mine's pretty with. This was made by Myra.
Good job, Myra.
She saw me, yeah, she saw me using my setup basket and she was like, I want to know how to do that. So I worked with her and she makes really pretty ones with beads and lace. And so I now have a very pretty setup basket with beadwork and some lace. Does anybody have questions that they want to ask?
I don't see anything in the chat, but
It's froze up.
Yeah.
yeah, the phone is frozen up again. That's why if you can change the sound to be on the one that's on Kim's face, that might be a good idea. And
I got it unfroze now, isn't it?
No, am I?
No.
Why don't you shut this hot one off?
No, it's got the.
That's what. I can't see that. I'm disappeared. Did you shut it off? That means shut it off. I don't know.
so you just need to unmute your, if you turned off the other one, you just need to unmute that one, Kim. I can actually still hear you.
I can't see it.
You don't have to see yourself, Kim. It's okay. Okay, Kim, can you say something so we know we can hear you? Kim, can you hear me? Oh,
You need to change the audio over that then too.
I can't
okay.
hear it.
Well, Bethany has that one muted.
No, I can't control anything in your house unless you want me to mute everybody.
I'm trying.
You probably have to turn the volume up on the tablet or Greg's phone, whatever one is on your face, Kim. I don't know if you can hear me. Kim, turn up the volume. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Kim, can you
No,
hear
I
me?
just did it again.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I
We
can.
got it.
Hold on.
Okay. Okay. Does anyone have any questions for Kim? Does anybody want to ask him how much machines typically cost?
How much do machines typically cost?
Kim, can you hear us?
Are we talking vintage or there are a couple different price points. My first sock knitting machine, my husband brought me from a camp. You used to have that on, hon. And I got 2 machines in a box for, what was it? $125.
Wow.
And this machine that I'm knitting on, I got for $300. Now I think you're looking at anywhere between $1,000 and higher. Erlbacher makes a spinoff of the Gearhart. Theirs are priced, I believe, like $1,300 and above. Dave Lord machines an AccuKnitter, and I am not exactly sure on his price. I think it's over $2,000. Lamb Knitting Company is doing the Tuttle, the LT150, and I think their price point is like 35. Bethany can verify that better than I can. She has one. I always tell everybody whenever you're interested in purchasing a sock machine, have an idea of what you want it to do, because the Gearharts do not have the same ability to handle what the Legears can do. Vintage machines, the Auto Knitter is a little bit fussier than the Legear. Gearhart is fine, but I can't do as much. And the Tuttle I really like because it does 2 feeds at once. Price point is a little higher, so it really depends on if you're going to use it. If you're going to be going and doing demos, the LT is not mover friendly. It is more one that you want to keep at home.
They are trying to improve on that.
They are trying to improve on it.
Yeah. Like, well,
Mhm.
one of the things is the boxes that you get it in, they're like the triple walled corrugated boxes.
Right.
And they cut outs that fit your machine exactly. So yeah, it might take up a lot of space, but you can actually move it and stuff. But yeah.
Well, I have the Traveler that Greg
Right.
designed. So I can actually just take the machine, put it all together, close it up, and my work can be on it. So it's a little bit more mobile. Everybody comes up with different ways of transporting and using the machines. I think it's getting harder and harder to find the antique machines.
Ain't making any more of them.
Yeah, people fall in love with the older machines and they start stockpiling them.
Listen,
I'm not
know.
mentioning
I feel
any
called
names,
out.
but I have the Laguerre 47. And I told my husband that I needed a different machine because I wanted a 64 cylinder and a rubber dial. And I actually just placed an order with Dave Lord. And now I don't need a new machine.
Because you have a new cylinder, a new rubber dial.
So I have an 80, so the 84. I have an 84, a 72, a 64, and a 54. And I will tell you the 64 is closest to hand knitting as I found. And then, not being afraid to adjust your tensions to accommodate the different sock thicknesses, because even fingeringly, there is a difference in the twist and the thickness of the yarn. I know
I'll agree with you on that. The 64 is what most of the hand knitting patterns are written for, and then I'll use the 72 for husband socks.
well, my husband's legs are getting skinnier. So I'm able to use the 64 with him. But yes, for men's socks, the 72 is definitely better.
When I chose my
So you've got a
cylinders,
64 from Dave Lord, 64 cylinder from Dave Lord. I've got an old, it's interesting, my Laguerre came with, the former owner had gotten a couple of cylinders from Jackie, and they're really lightweight aluminum. I'm curious about his cylinders, if they're a little heavier and a little more of the feel of the old cylinders.
They are the feel of the old cylinders. It is
with a better machine finish.
It's a better machine finish. It is a nice cylinder. He did an excellent job with it. And the river dial, take it apart so you can see it, Margaret. But yeah, it's as close. It's a nice solid steel. I don't know where
So here's a question for Greg, because these cylinders that came from Jackie, metric screws, and they're not the right, and it's a pain for the little screws for the
river
for the
adjustment.
cylinders and for the fin. I've got to keep switching back and forth between the English and the metric screws. Oh wow, that does look heavy.
Margaret, it is like so nice.
Yeah.
It's definitely, I was pleased with the machining of it. And I ended up buying a slotted yarn carrier from him so that I have that also. And I'm pleased with his machining abilities.
Yeah, I got the yarn carrier and the slotted mast from him, but Christmas is coming, so I might think about replacing my 64 cylinder and dial. And it would be nice to get the equal slot.
Yes.
All right, so the question for Greg was English or metric screws on it?
On the
old Gearhart?
No, on Dave's cylinders.
Oh.
I have it in there.
Question, yeah.
Because when I change cylinders, I have to change the screws and use the metric screws. And then one was too short. It's like trying to find.
Did it come with screws?
He actually sends screws with you.
Did it?
Yeah. When you purchase his cylinder,
Yeah, that would be why I don't know whether it's English or metric, because I've never had to put a screw in.
Mhm, mhm.
he does provide that. And I think he actually, the screw for your rubber stop is in the cylinder as well.
Yeah, because Jackie, of course, New Zealand is metric, so
Right.
And Dave Lord is,
Well, he's Canada.
He's Canadian. I don't know. That's a good question.
they do a little of both up there. I think.
I'm gonna unscrew one. The machines are only held together with 2 screws for anybody who hasn't seen one. So I'm gonna take one out.
No, the cylinders.
Right.
The machine's got more than 2 screws.
I think most of us knew what she meant.
Yeah, there's about 3. I mean, you got 1 to take off the crank, 2 to take off the cylinder, and the rest of it pretty much falls apart at that point.
No, then there's 4 for the cams.
Then, okay. Oh, well, all right.
He's talking about how
The
him
machine.
tearing it down.
Yarn guide.
Right, 1 for the yarn guide. Well, 2 for the yarn guide if it's adjustable there.
I've never taken my cams off, and I'm not going to do that anytime soon.
Oh, you haven't?
I haven't needed to because my machine was not dirty enough to need it.
Mine gets really dirty because I use, for the reenactment socks, it's 100%.
Oh no, that's one of my screws. She just pulled a 1024 out, because that's one of my screws there, a brass screw that I replace them with. So that's a 1024.
Cool.
That was easy, huh?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
You're welcome. You won't be disappointed with his work.
No, because I've got the yarn mast and the slotted carrier, and they're lovely.
Do you have the mast that is the countersink?
I got the mast because I had the old original mast and wanted slotted, and also that tension spring that slides up and down the mast. I could never get the tension set right, or for the heel spring. So
I can't.
Can you get back in?
No, I'm not going to worry about it right now. We're talking.
Well, did you loosen this one up too? Because if you didn't, if that one's tight, you might have to loosen that one up.
Yeah, you can do it for me.
Okay, no problem.
Everyone always drools over my yarn mast for my Laguerre because it's the Argyle one that has the 6 holes, but they're not slotted. So
well, that's what hacksaw's for.
and Greg, because I can't trust myself with a hacksaw. But I don't want to hurt it. Like, I'm afraid I'll break it, and then
So what, you're going to let Greg do it?
no, I think I'm gonna just buy another mast. I'll buy one from Dave Lord that's slotted. Does he make them with multiple holes?
You mean for Argyle?
Well, not necessarily for Argyle, but at least 2 holes, like 2 guides.
I imagine he does, don't you think? I mean, ask him.
Yeah, that's true.
Most
the
of
other
them,
thing
Very
is
responsive.
remember to get the mast when you're getting the yarn topper.
Oh yeah.
I had that weird offset mast that comes with the old Laguerres
that's,
that swivels around, and it was always moving crazy. So yeah, I got a plain straight one from him.
I have the one that moves around.
Yeah.
But I don't know what type that one is. So what we're talking about is,
Yeah, people don't know what I'm talking about.
so this is what we're discussing for those who don't. This is probably my favorite.
Great, and the ones he makes look very much like that, so.
Do they?
Okay.
Yeah.
We have a new person coming in. It's Marilyn Estrada. Did I get your name right? Marilyn? So do you want to hold up the socks that you've made, Kim? So those are your shorty socks.
Yeah, so those I made while we were talking. And this is one that I started and I didn't know. I made a boo-boo. Everybody knows it.
Well, and we were distracting you while you were counting.
Yeah.
It's okay.
It's,
You
it,
joined us.
I keep trying to look at the screen to see what's going on, and it's not a very good distance for me. So I'm distracting myself as well. I do have, sorry. Bethany, you did do a video so that people who are coming in can watch. I can't.
Mhm.
I can't hear
That's because we're not saying anything.
Oh, I wasn't unmuted. So I was
Margaret, that
Yes,
was
we're recording.
awesome.
I did it myself. So I was gonna say, do you want me to stop recording? But before I stop recording, Kim, you should say what your business name is again.
Appalachian Sock Company.
And you're on Events and Eat this weekend, and you
Yeah.
also have an Etsy shop and a website.
I have an Etsy shop. I have a website. And I am actually going to be setting up for Zoom teaching.
Awesome.
So is that?
Hmm?
I can't see you, Margaret.
I just turned my video on to say bye if we're leaving.
Okay, let me
Bye.
stop recording.